Especially now, as we're thinking through the role and value of land and community life, we must confront the realities of colonialism that have led to the current moment and move forward in a reparative way. CLTs provide one way, but certainly not the only way to do that. All that said, welcome to what promises to be a joyful celebration. My name is Mike Gaciano, and I'm the president of Charm City Land Trusts. I'll also be serving as the master of ceremonies for today's virtual festivities, where we will celebrate the completion of CCLT's first land trust home. Get excited. I cannot believe that we did this, and I'm excited to share some material. So some housekeeping before we begin. We'll be recording this video for posterity and for social media posting, so please mute your video if you don't want to be included. Also, a good portion of this celebration will rely on technology, so please bear with us as we stumble through that. I've been to many happy hours, graduation parties, birthday parties. Without fail, something goes awry, and we have a lot of stuff going on here, so please bear with us on that. If you have questions, feel free to enter them in the chat, and we'll try to get to as many as possible during the Q&A. We're going to try to get you out of here by 3 p.m. Because I know long Zoom calls are not ideal. So before we jump into any of that, I want to invite the inimitable Gary Dittman, powerful pastor of Amazing Grace Lutheran Church and longtime CCLT board member, to bless us with a few words.
Thank you so much, Mike, and grateful to see all of you and see some faces that I haven't seen in a minute. And I'm so, this small Timor, this community that we share, we are still tied together in love, so I'm grateful. As Mike shared, I'm pastor of Amazing Grace and also a board member. And it's an exciting time. It is an exciting time. Soon, a family from Baltimore will be moving into this newly renovated house, creating a home and memories for years to come. Permanently affordable housing ensures that neighbors will not be displaced from their community, but will continue to be a force of positive transformation. Since the coronavirus, I've missed worship terribly. We haven't been worshiping regularly. And the thing I miss most about worship is singing, I think. But there's a lovely hymn called A Place at the Table, and I want to share the first verse with you today. It's by Shirley Arena Murray, and the verse goes like this. For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread. A shelter, a space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, a star overhead. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion, and peace. God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Will you join me in prayer? Gracious God, as we celebrate the completion of this house, we give thanks. Truly, we give thanks. We pray your blessings on this home. We pray your blessings on efforts of many who seek housing justice and healthy communities. Guide all who seek to bring permanently affordable housing and strengthen opportunities that all neighbors may live their hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Amen. I'd like to turn it back over to Mike.
Amen. Thank you so much, Gary. So I'm going to share a few remarks here and then go over sort of the schedule for today. Today's program will look to the past and future of our organization. The event will provide an opportunity to reminisce for some, as an introduction to CLTs for others, and as an update for those who have been following our work. Above all, it will be a celebration of a project 5 years in the making that everyone in this room, either directly or indirectly, helped make possible. So today's agenda will be divided into a few pieces. First, I'll share some remarks about the role of community land trusts in fostering community-driven land development. Then we'll hear from some elected officials who have proven themselves advocates in this work. After that, we'll have a moment to contextualize and look at our community garden, a shared gathering space, open-air classroom, and food production center. And then following that, we'll transition to what we've all been waiting for, the cutting of the proverbial and literal ribbon of our first land trust home. Finally, we'll open the floor for questions, comments from the audience, and then conclude by looking toward the future of permanently affordable housing development in Baltimore and CCLT's role in that process. So first, what the heck is a CLT? This is something that we have been answering for, I guess, 20 years at this point, and will continue to answer in the future. But the Cliff Notes, CLT is an organization that removes land from the speculative market and reserves it for the long-term benefit of neighborhoods. The CLT model ensures that housing remain affordable forever by creating affordable housing land trust agreements on land while leasing the property on those lands to potential home buyers and renters who then become members of the CLT and participate in its future decisions. These arrangements allow homeowners to develop equity by entering a shared equity relationship with the CLT, and most importantly, ensure that housing remain affordable for future generations. As long as these tools are in place and the CLT is dedicated to racially and economically equitable development, CLTs can prevent the mass involuntary displacement of low-income Black and Brown people, especially in areas like McElderry Park, the location of our first CLT house, where speculators lie in wait to benefit from the for-profit development opportunities moving northwards from Patterson Park and eastward from Johns Hopkins Medical Institute. That said, the CLT is a radical and idealized proposition that's difficult to institute in a political economic setting in which people, particularly Black people, are constantly forced out of neighborhoods experiencing gentrification. The CLT is both a perfect fit for and an incredibly hard to imagine in a city like Baltimore. As many of you no doubt know, Baltimore's history, ancient and recent, has been characterized by the targeted dispossession of low-income African-American residents through displacement, predatory exclusion, job insecurity, and police violence. Throughout this process, we've contended to varying degrees with these structures of dispossession, witnessing displacement or the threat of displacement befall neighbors, contending with speculative landlords while attempting to acquire idle property for permanently affordable housing redevelopment, engaging with obstinate city bureaucracies, and most recently, coming to terms with the realities of the COVID-19 disease and the collective urgency and insistence of redressing persistent anti-Black violence in the United States. The CLT, as has been demonstrated through research and action by amazing citywide CLT organizations, including the Baltimore Housing Roundtable, Housing Our Neighbors, the Share Baltimore Coalition, and United Workers, some representatives of whom are in the room, can redress this obstinate history of anti-Blackness with a real structural solution. To do so, we have to be bold in our vision and insist that city agencies, funders, banks, and stakeholders prioritize community-driven development and commit to stabilizing predominantly low-income Black and Brown communities by supporting permanently affordable housing development. With that said, I'd like to introduce our next two speakers, both of whom have proven themselves as advocates of CCLT in this work. The first is Delegate Stephanie Smith, a member of the House of Delegates from the 45th District. The next is Senator Corey McCray, a member of the Maryland Senate from the 45th District, both of whom have spoken up and urged city officials to meet the demands of community land trusts in Baltimore. So we'll begin with Delegate Smith and then roll right into Senator McCray.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone. I see so many familiar faces in the place, I guess the Zoom place. We're not in a physical space, but I'm glad we're not allowing kind of the change of venue to prevent us from celebrating, because we need all the things to celebrate in this day and age, all the good news. We need to celebrate every win, no matter how small it may feel. And I just want to speak just candidly from the heart that I know what it's like to be housing insecure. I know what it's like to lose your home to foreclosure as a child, and to go from a room to a couch becoming your bedroom, and knowing that home is really where you get your sense of safety, security, and in some ways your identity. I ended up living in the home my grandfather built and my mom was born in, but it wasn't designed to have as big a family living in it at that time as my grandmother made space for us. But even in that imperfection, there was the safety and the comfort of knowing I was at a place where I was accepted and that still belonged to me as a member of the family. So I know for the folks that we're hoping to give a sense of permanency and safety to, as we devise more and more opportunities for CCLT to give this opportunity to our neighbors, this is going to mean a lot for people's emotional well-being. We often note that having shelter protects you from the elements. We note that it gives you a place to be warm and to be cool, but I think we underestimate the psychological benefits of not having to worry about where you're going to be and if it's safe, and if it's, most importantly for many, affordable. Too many people in our city and in our community spend north of 40% of what they take home just to have a place to live. That leaves very little for you to be intentional about other things that benefit your family and even other needs for the operation of that home. So when we're thinking about housing affordability, it is a justice issue. It is an issue of civil rights. It's an issue of human rights. I mean, you can go down the list. We have denied not only people access to safe and affordable housing, we've also denied them access to opportunity by sometimes only making the affordable housing so far away from education, so far away from economic opportunity, and so far away from other things and amenities that one needs to live a high quality of life. So I want to commend CCLT, the partners, Amazing Grace, everyone in this Zoom room for their commitment, because it's not just the 5 years of the practical working on it. There's the 20 years ago of just the seeding of an idea. And then before you even get paperwork to create CCLT, there's just something on the heart to address a problem that you see around you. So it can take a lifetime to turn certain corners, but it doesn't mean it's not worth it. And it doesn't mean it's not important. And some of the work that's going to be seeded today, I'll be frank, some of us may not fully live to see the full arc of all the people that will be blessed and that will benefit from the work that you guys are doing, but it makes it no less important and no less valuable. So I am honored to just share a small moment in this celebration today. And I look forward to continued partnership, continued advocacy, and continued working towards a more equitable and just Baltimore for all Baltimoreans. So thank you for allowing me to take a small part of your celebration.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much, Delegate Smith, and we also thank you for helping us when we needed it, and we continue to move this partnership into the future. Senator McCray, floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. First, if I could just acknowledge some of my colleagues that's on the phone. I'm always in amazement and just my colleague, Stephanie Smith. So just thank you for the work that you do, Stephanie. I also see that my colleague, Delegate Chanel Branch, is also on the line. So just thank you and glad to be joined by Delegate Chanel Branch. But I also see our Councilman-elect, Tony Glover, is also on the line. And I just want to acknowledge all of the work that just goes on amongst these elected officials in reference to the 45th District and most importantly, McElderry Park. I see a number of friends and folks that are on the line. And Pastor Dittman, as I was looking across all of these folks that's on this line, I thought about the work that's been going on, just, you know, not just the last 5 years around CLTs, but maybe let's just say the last decade. And I think about Pastor, in reference to the green spaces and how they're so important to our community and how much work you've done around the green spaces and everyone on this call. But I know that the green spaces do not work without affordable housing. And then I looked and I saw Beth. And I thought about Beth. I thought about the work that we did with Tinch Tillman, Principal Samuels, and that playground that we did several years ago. But Beth, when I think about those play spaces, when I think about education, I know that they do not work without affordable housing. And then I looked over and I saw Mr. Leon Purnell. And I thought about all of the work that he's doing around mental health, and not just mental health, but also just health care itself within our communities. And Mr. Purnell, I thought about that and I said that that does not work without affordable housing. And I could go on and on and on, but I'll close with Jen. And I watch how much work she does around just water and making sure that everyone has access to something basic as water. And Jen, I thought about all of the work that you've done in the legislature, on the city council, but I know that every last one of these components, whether it's education, water, green spaces, mental health, they do not work without affordable housing. So I just thank you, Michael. I thank you, Khalil. I thank you, Arika, for so many years ago when you met and you all formed these ideas several years and watching them come to fruition. And I thank you because this is so much of an important piece of this puzzle. I think about 2019 where we had one other CLT, Northeast Housing Initiative up in Northeast Baltimore. And I think about them coming in reference to seeing what type of help the state would be able to give from a financial standpoint. And in 2019, we being able to collaborate on that vision and making sure that we, I think it was $25,000 that was provided to Garrett Good, and Ms. Denise. And then I think about and reflect, a couple weeks ago, there was an article in the Baltimore Business Journal. And I thought about how cutting edge the 45th district is to have 2 CLTs within our district, making sure that we can put together this puzzle for our neighbors. So I say thank you, thank you, thank you in reference to the work that you're doing. I say congratulations to Charm City Land Trust. And I know that on behalf of each member of the 45th district, we look forward to helping, to being a partner. And if it's ever anything that we can do, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you again for letting me share this moment.
Thank you so much, Senator McCray, for those words and that support. Your support's been really important to us, especially these last couple of weeks, and that the connection between the green space and the housing. I mean, we're right there with you in terms of how those things work holistically. And since we have, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, and we do have to move on to the actual ribbon cutting portion of it. But since we do have Delegate Branch and Councilperson-elect Tony Glover, if you'd like to say a word for a minute or so. I'm not putting you on the spot. You can absolutely opt out of that or save it till the end, but inviting you now because you were so named.
Hi, this is Delegate Chanel Branch, and I just wanted to say thank you to my colleagues, Delegate Smith and Senator McCray. I would like to echo what they said. I am very proud of all of the hard work that you all have been doing, and I look forward to working with you in any other movements or anything that you have that you need help with. I would be honored to continue to support you, and I think Stephanie Smith, Delegate Smith, and Senator McCray pretty much said it all. So I'm here if you need me, and you'll definitely be seeing me with you all.
Thank you so much. We're so fortunate to have your support, Delegate Branch. Councilperson-elect, would you?
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Pastor. Hey, everybody out there. I'm new to this, but I'm excited because the first one just happened to be in District 13. I'm happy to be amongst individuals who I know that sincerely care about our community. I work closely with Mr. Leon Purnell down at the Men's and Family Center. You know, Pastor Gary Dickman, who has always been there to support our community. Dave Harris over in Montgomery Park. You know, even our Senator Corey McCray, who has, you know, been giving me so much advice as not just coming on to be the council member elect, but just having my back to say, you know, Tony, there's going to be some rough times, and you know, people are going to expect you to, you know, show instant gratification right away. But, you know, those things just don't happen. But just stay true to the community, stay true to the people, and just work your butt off. Happen to be, you know, have friends like, you know, Delegate Chanel Branch and Delegate Stephanie Smith that I know has the back of this district, has the back of the 45th district, and just want to make sure that we thrive and make sure that we grow. So I'm excited. Again, I'm new here. I'm happy that, you know, we're the first, you know, district to be the pilot of so much greatness that's going to happen in the future. And look forward to being amongst all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilperson-elect. We look forward to collaborating with all of the elected officials who spoke. And speaking to what Senator McCray brought up, we're going to transition to the Commons now, the amazing Porch Street Commons. So it's impossible to have a discussion or celebration of CCLT without discussing and shining light on our crown jewel, the amazing Porch Street Commons. As some of you may or may not know, CCLT has been around for a while. So while sort of housing development has been a central element of community land trust development in Baltimore for the last 5 to 6 years. CCLT was actually chartered in 2000, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our forebears, particularly Jim Kelly, Karen Brow, and Joe Stocks, may he rest. So Jim Kelly was a law professor at the University of Baltimore, and he was CCLT's first resident agent and signed its articles of incorporation. He and a team of law students were instrumental in researching and advocating the passage of the Affordable Housing Land Trust Act, which was signed into law in 2010 and made this entire movement possible by providing a legal instrument for CLTs to engage in permanently affordable housing creation. Karen Brow, former pastor of Amazing Grace Lutheran Church, was instrumental in transforming 18 parcels of desolate housing into the amazing Port Street Commons, a community garden and gathering space that we'll get to shortly. Finally, I want to take a moment to express my sincerest gratitude for Joe Stocks. Nonprofit organizations come and go all the time. Without Joe, CCLT would have been another nonprofit that came and went. He did all of the mundane tasks that we take for granted during a fallow period for CCLT, including paying the bills, filing the taxes, and other operational tasks. He was the definition of a community steward. And we truly wouldn't be here without Joe's efforts. Though I never got to meet him, I and the rest of the organization are extremely indebted to him and all of his labor. Collectively, these early CCLT pioneers and many others contributed to the creation, maintenance, and continuity of CCLT's green space, the amazing Port Street Commons. Before we developed housing, we stewarded green space, and we continue to do so now. Now I want to turn it over to CCLT Treasurer and Gardener Extraordinaire, Jennifer Kunze, who has a video. Actually, I think I'll turn it over actually to Natalie Cohen, fellow Gardener Extraordinaire, who's going to play a video prepared by the Open Spaces Committee.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Gary Dittman. I'm pastor of Amazing Grace Lutheran Church. And I'm here with some friends to introduce you to the amazing Port Street Commons. It's 18 lots that's owned by Charm City Land Trust and stewarded by Charm City Land Trust. And I'm going to kind of flip the camera around and let you meet my friends.
Hey everybody, I'm Jennifer. I'm the treasurer of Charm City Land Trust. And I've been gardening here in the amazing Port Street Commons for about 8 years.
Hello everybody, I'm Denasia. I've been gardening here for about 6 years. I started while I was a student in Tisch Tillman.
Yeah, and for about 20 years now, Charm City Land Trust has owned and protected and stewarded this really amazing outdoor space. So we want to give you a little bit of a tour before we show you the house that we've been building. So here we're in the vegetable garden and orchard part of the amazing Port Street Commons. We've had this space for 20 years, and because it's part of the land trust, we know that we'll have it in perpetuity. And so that means we've been able to really invest with a small orchard, a lot of fruit trees that take a long time to grow to maturity. Like, I don't know how long this grapevine has been there exactly, but you see how many grapes we're able to grow. And one of the newer additions to our orchard is this pawpaw tree that we're hoping is good. We just planted it 2 years ago, and we're hoping we'll get fruit out of it next year. But it takes that kind of long-term investment to really be able to get fruit.
And here we have a sweet little fig tree. It just started sprouting little baby figs. And also a little apple tree. I don't know how long this has been here, but I know that it has a bunch of apples that I want to eat.
Yeah.
This is my favorite rose bush. I don't ever see roses in real life, but this one has covered my dreams to see flowers that are actually pretty in real life.
You see them in real life right here.
I know.
Yeah.
But usually I only see them in photos.
Right, and I don't think you were there that day, Denasia, but I remember planting this rose bush with a number of students from Tisch Tillman in the after-school program 7 years ago, and you see how much it's blossomed since then. And then it's not the right season. We're past the season for cherries, but these are our cherry trees, as well as, very importantly, our blueberries and raspberries. And don't get too close, but we've got these beautiful, beautiful fruits that we're able to grow here and give away to the community. Delicious.
I've also made jam out of blueberries and raspberries. Not me, my friend. Anyways, we made jam out of it. It tasted good on ice cream. All you gotta do is heat it up in the pot, add some sugar, lemon juice.
So in a typical year, we are out here in the spring and summer and the fall growing and harvesting a lot of produce that gets given away at the food pantry run by Amazing Grace. It's a really great partnership. This year we were off to a slow start and things are a little hectic because of coronavirus, but we've still got some plants in the ground. We've had some plants donated and we're really excited to be able to harvest them soon. Indonesia is especially partial to these beds over here.
Last year I planted arugula. It was my first time even knowing about their existence. I tried their leaves for the first time and it was surprisingly spicy. They grew like really tall, and this is the result of them producing my dear grandbabies. I hope you appreciate them, take them in. My main favorite here this year is Felicia, Carl, and Minnie, because Minnie is slow growing. But still, those are my main 3 babies. I just wanted to introduce them as well. They're very important.
So this is Pastor Gary again, and I'm here at the Prayer Labyrinth, where it's sort of a guided walking path to bring us towards healing, where people can walk and reflect and spend time in green space, but also spend time with their higher power. We have a peace pole here, which prays the prayer, may peace prevail on earth, something we desperately need these days. And the Prayer Labyrinth, I think some of you maybe have experienced before. It's just a guided walking trail, and our labyrinth has this lovely rock where people leave their burdens in the center of the rock and come out of the labyrinth to move towards healing.
So we've taken a lot of steps over the years to make this not just a green space for growing food and for meditating, but also a green space that is really good for the environment and provides a lot of habitat. So you see, a couple years ago, we tore up the asphalt that was left in the street so that rainwater can soak in. We also planted this rain garden here that provides some really important environmental benefits. Denasia, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, environmental benefits. I've seen all kinds of things in here. There was one time we saw a cute little snake up in that end, just enjoying life. It went down the dirt. So I don't know if you're ever going to see a snake. Sorry if you got a phobia of snakes. But yeah, I've come here and I volunteered in the rain garden several times. I saw how it works. It takes the rainwater from the houses back there and comes down here and soaks up into these plants. It really helps stop flooding. So
yeah. And having this garden here helps us keep water in the ground where it needs to be instead of running off and creating problems down the sewer system. And it also provides a really important habitat for the insects that we ultimately need to have in our space to pollinate the food that we need to grow.
So the amazing Port Street Commons also has a number of art installations, including this beautiful Magic Monarch, which tells the story of the monarch butterfly all the way from larva to caterpillar to when it becomes a monarch. And the day that we dedicated the monarch mural here in the Commons, actually monarch butterflies showed up here. You can also see, as I'm following Denasia and Jennifer, this is part of what formerly was pavement, but that pavement has been replaced by pervious pavers and also grass, again to eliminate runoff and create a sustainable environment for caring for both the Chesapeake Bay and also just creating green space for people to spend time healing and being community together.
So thank you for joining us here in the amazing Port Street Commons. Hope you'll be interested in getting involved. We're out here most Saturdays. Please take a look at our website and get in touch if you're interested in gardening here. And this is such a wonderful space that Charm City Land Trust has been able to protect for the past 20 years. We're going to continue to protect this space and other green spaces in East Baltimore, but we're so excited to take this next step into affordable housing in East Baltimore. So I'm going to turn it over to our housing committee to introduce that.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, Gary, and future president of Charm City Land Trust, Denasia, for that guided tour. Like I said, the community garden is such an integral space and part of CCLT's identity. And just to echo what Jennifer said at the end of that video there, if folks are interested in volunteering, we sure could use the help always. So now we move on to the house, what we've all been waiting for. I want to say a few words about sort of our fits and starts dealing with development. I think that could be illustrative for folks who are on the call who are interested in starting potentially their own community land trusts in their neighborhoods, and also to recognize folks who are in the room who I haven't seen in a minute to share my sincerest gratitude. So I think I speak for the board when I say that developing a house is a labor of love. Beyond that, developing a house in a specular-laden area like McElderry Park for the purposes of permanent affordability is even more difficult. Having completed the house is a surreal feeling, and I'd like to acknowledge and give thanks to the people who made this possible. CCLT received 520 North Luzerne in October 2015 as a donation from a bank its original owners ensnared, like thousands of others, in the predatory practices of subprime lending. It's taken nearly 5 years to complete, and that time's been characterized by fits and starts, successes and failures, hope and cynicism. We experienced every emotion one could possibly experience, and that reality makes today all the more special. So when I was recruited to CCLT in 2016, let's call it CCLT 2.0, the board was comprised of a lot of folks who have moved on to different things, but who kept in touch. Some of them are here now, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge them. Erica Fletcher, the president, was the only board member who had been with CCLT since its founding in 2000. Her name is among the suggested board members on the first meeting minutes. And she served as a fountain of institutional knowledge and fearless leadership as the board transitioned more fully into housing development. Ann Mitchell-Saki, the vice president, challenged us all to remember that the C in CLT is not a superfluous add-on, but a central feature of community land trusts that we must prioritize at all costs. Peter Sabonis, the treasurer, filled Joe Stocks' role in taking care of CCLT's day-to-day operational tasks, while also working tirelessly to advocate for CLTs on a citywide level and procuring grants for the organization that are being used now to expand its capacity. Charlie Jones, a longtime board member, brought levity to each meeting, as well as a seemingly limitless well of insight from his time organizing CLTs in Washington, D.C. So this was the board makeup when I joined with two other recruits in 2016. Those two other recruits who were also in the room were Beth Myers-Edwards and Sharon Hunt, who were instrumental in the early stages of developing 520. Despite not having any development experience, we three nonetheless took on the task of wading through the almost impenetrable world of property development. We formed a property development committee, and under Beth's leadership, completed our lead abatement tests, got the roof inspected, and worked with Candace from Horde Copeland Mock, who's also here, who was gracious enough to provide us with pro bono architectural drawings that proved useful and instrumental once pre-development really kicked off. Additionally, Adriana Foster, who is a current CCLT board member and an organizer with United Workers, led and coordinated a truly inspiring crowdfunding campaign that raised $60,000 worth of donations for the house. This money was integral to getting development off the ground. Somewhere along the line in this narrative, Kiara Gray and Khalil Ukta, developers with a strong commitment to social and racial equity, rare qualities for developers, joined CCLT. They blended so well into the institutional culture of the organization that I truly cannot remember a time before they were on the board. Their commitment to 520's redevelopment was a monumental sacrifice on their part, but they were steadfast, so they picked up the ball where we left it and carried it over the finish line. So without further ado, there's going to be a little more ado. I want to share my screen and invite Khalil to speak a little bit about the state of the house before, and then I want to share a video that Khalil made. So let me figure this out. 1 second.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. I want to first start by saying thank you to Kiera. I did not make the video alone. My beautiful wife. I couldn't do this without you. So we're going to quickly go through just a few pictures here, and then we'll jump right into the video. I know it's long awaited. I'm anxious to show it. But you can see here when first stepping into the home, some of the features. You can see the back windows are boarded. The electrical is outdated. It's messy, it's a little bit dirty. You can keep on flipping through, Michael, for me here. The kitchen cabinets were present, but the wiring was old, so we had to replace the electrical, all the gas lines, the plumbing, and we couldn't have done it alone without the help from our construction team as well as our historic preservation team. Yes, we are maintaining the charm here in Charm City by making sure that we are developing houses in a way that keeps that historic fabric as much as possible. So as we flip through the last final pictures here, we'll get ready to walk through what is now 520 North Luzerne Avenue. Here we are at Charm City Land Trust inaugural house. Thank you, Michael, for introducing me, and thank you everybody for being here to walk through this property. We are so excited. It's been a long time coming, but we made it. We are here, and this is just the first of many houses that we plan on doing for permanent affordability right here in Baltimore, in East Baltimore. We are in McElderry Park. There's blighted and vacant properties, and there are people who need homes. Let's marry the two and bring together permanently affordable housing. So this house behind me was built in 1920, and since then it has gone through numerous changes, changing hands, but also some disinvestment. So when we got here, there was water in the basement, the roof was a little bit off, and there was tons of work needed. No way somebody could live here. Today, somebody can absolutely move in. So before we cut the ribbon, in just a short minute, I want to say thank you to Horde Copeland and Mott for helping us with the architectural drawings. Thank you to the construction team, the historic team, Spring Garden Lending for helping to finance the debt portion. And thank you to all those who funded Charm City Land Trust to make this dream possible. Let's go ahead and cut this ribbon. What do you say? All right, give me a countdown. In 3,
2, 1.
Hey! Let's take a look inside. So as soon as you walk in, you see a beautiful space, nice living, dining, kitchen area. This home has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, including a finished space downstairs in the basement. We've upgraded all of the electrical, the mechanical, the plumbing work. We've got brand new appliances. We even got an island in the kitchen, which is beautiful. Let's take a look at the kitchen here. For a permanently affordable house, this is fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's take a look downstairs in the basement. Now, before we go, the basement, again, there was water all over the place. There was all types of issues with the basement. We had to waterproof it, put a new slab down there, drain tile, sub pump, the whole 9. Let's take a look at it here. All right, come on down into the basement. This can be great for an in-law suite. It can be fantastic for just an older family member or a teen family member who wants their own space. And you can see it's got a beautiful closet. It's got nice finishes. And one step further, it's got a full bathroom. We are ready for this house to be called a home. So let's go upstairs. We've got 3 bedrooms and we've got a full bathroom along with a porch. Check it out. Here's a bedroom here, nice and beautiful, along with porch access. Again, we updated the electrical. We redid the porch so that it's nice and sound and sturdy. We did everything to code. Here we are, bedroom number 2. A nice space, nice finishes, nice lighting, natural lighting here. All right, bedroom number 3. This would be the owner's bedroom here, where you get the most light. It's at the front of the house, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Nice size space, beautiful finishes, top quality. The type of quality that is needed, that is desired and wanted when you do permanently affordable housing. The type of quality you can expect going forward as a Charm City Land Trust house. Not only are we going to do this 1 or 2 or 3, we want to do dozens of houses here in East Baltimore, but we need your help and we need your continued support as we go through the arduous process of putting together the capital stack, making sure the construction team is strong, and bringing these houses back to life for Baltimore City. Thank you for taking a walk through, and we'd love to see you soon.
What a yeah. We watched that video, by the way, before this all started to troubleshoot, and I got very emotional seeing it. It's a great feeling to have completed this. And now we want to hear from you all, opening the floor for discussion. If you want to ask a question, if you want to just say a few words, past board members, if you want to say anything, not calling you out, just type in the chat, call on me, and then we'll unmute you. And yeah, we got about 10-ish minutes left, and we want to get everybody out here at 3 p.m. So. Also, current board members who didn't get a chance to speak.
And there's also the raise hand function. So if you'd rather not type your question in, oh, but I see one. How will we identify buyers? From Keeney.
Khalil, you want to take this one?
Okay, hold on. I got to do some back and forth unmuting.
Thank you, and a great question. So there are several ways to identify buyers. We have indeed started to put the feelers out there to see if there are any community members who are looking to purchase our inaugural house. We received, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, we received 7 applications from individuals who are interested. We're in the process of reaching out to them. As you can imagine, with COVID and all different priorities, it can be challenging scheduling a walkthrough or setting up time, but we're certainly marketing the property in a fair and equitable way. We will likely list it, but it seems like we've got some pretty good interest so far. And of course, if you know anybody who's interested and fits the 50% AMI criteria, we're more than happy to take them on a tour.
Yeah, and there are a significant number of interested people from the neighborhood. Pastor Gary was sharing that he got 2 additional applications right before this call, which I'll send over to you, Khalil. Not to do business during the celebration, but other questions? Yeah, Leon. Natalie, can you unmute Leon?
Okay, hello, congratulations. This journey started a long time ago. I remember many of the meetings happening here at the center when it was just a dream and a concept. And one thing it always said was that if we're ever going to change generational poverty, we have to have homeowners. And many of you realize that. I couldn't stay in those meetings because it's kind of rough with a shoestring staff trying to keep this place afloat. But the work that we do with keeping people in housing, period, is immensely important because it gives them the hope to purchase a property like this. And this shows them that it's possible. And, you know, we have a person that does financial literacy here, so you need to utilize them. He has some people that are qualified for home ownership now. So that's the other piece of this that needs to be connected and not forgotten. Okay? Congratulations. I'm glad y'all stayed the course. Some of y'all are real old. You know, when I was a little boy when y'all started this thing.
Thank you so much for that, Leon. And yeah, we'll be in touch. And yeah, we want to house anybody who's ready to be housed. Other folks, questions? Is there a fundraising plan for house number 2? Well, I would say optimistically, there's a fundraising plan for houses number 2, 3, and 4. And so we're working with the city to secure funds from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which, Khalil, would you like to give a breakdown of that? I don't know how much in the weeds we want to get into it, but yeah. So we have a few houses in the pipeline. We have some prospects for property acquisition to acquire more houses to develop. Yeah, and so we are optimistically looking to, before COVID, we had planned, and it was realistic to do 15 more houses this year. We're going to try to hit as close to that goal as possible under the new conditions. Thanks, Nancy. I think we have time for one more question. What's the price? Great question. I will throw that one to Khalil or Kiara.
So Charm City Land Trust, we would love to sell the house at or below 50% AMI. That's our entire goal. That's what we absolutely will do. We're finding that depending on the number of people who are moving in, the family size, and a few other variables, we're looking at somewhere between 120,000 and 140,000. Again, depending on who the buyer ends up being, but we're looking to target around that $130,000 price point, depending again on the interest rates and closing costs and things. The monthly mortgage should be somewhere in the low $700 a month range. So certainly a permanently affordable home.
Thanks, Khalil. If there are no other questions, I just want to offer a few closing remarks. Let folks get back to their day. So I want to thank everyone for being here. Friends, neighbors, stakeholders, elected officials, media, everyone. CCLT is committed to developing permanently affordable housing and combating the racial, economic, and structural inequity that's characterized development in Baltimore by reframing how we understand land, not as a commodity, but as a shared heritage to which we all have a responsibility, and how we understand community, not as an impersonal grouping of strangers, but as a site of relationship building, mediation, support, and trust. I can't put into words how much it means to see this project completed, but we're nowhere near done. McElderry Park is a neighborhood with an extremely high rate of non-owner occupancy, which means that a lot of the people who live there don't own their homes and have no say as to how crucial decisions regarding their homes are made. Moreover, community residents are extremely overburdened by the percentage of their income going toward rent each month, as Delegate Smith pointed out. Our development philosophy is geared toward addressing these difficult circumstances and alleviating the stresses of living paycheck to paycheck. Right now, we have one house. We have more houses in the pipeline, and thanks to the generosity of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, we're hiring a coordinator to help us scale operations and lessen the amount of time it takes to redevelop properties and house residents. Moreover, we're committed to community-driven development, which will require that we strengthen existing and build new relationships with community leaders and community residents as we expand operations in McElderry Park and move into adjacent neighborhoods. We understand that we have a lot of work to do, but we're here and we're committed to doing that work, learning from our successes and failures, and being part of the mass movement of individuals and groups working right now to build and realize an equitable future for this city. Thank you all so much.